Hey everyone, welcome to the Oasis podcast. I'm your host, Miss AJ. Thanks for tuning in. An oasis is something that provides refuge, relief, or a pleasant contrast, and that is exactly what you will find tuning into the Oasis podcast. This is a space where I and special guests will be cultivating intentional and honest conversations about life's journey. Subscribe everywhere you listen to podcasts and watch us on YouTube now.
Hey y'all, hey. Welcome back to another episode of the Oasis podcast. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving or Turkey Day or Family Gathering Day or whatever you want to call it, because I know everyone doesn't celebrate the colonizers' holiday. But I hope at the very least you had some good food or just some time off from work, just time to yourself, because that also is important. Well, I intended to start out December, as promised from last episode, with my postpartum journey episodes, but I'm gonna be real with y'all. I was triggered as fuck. Yeah. And I kept trying to mull over the details and trying to make sure, as I was planning and outlining for the episode, to include certain things, and that triggered me really bad. Like, I kept trying to break it up into days and like not do everything in one piece, and as I started thinking about more and more details about it, it just brought up stuff in me. And so I am honoring my feelings, honoring my healing right now, and I'm going to still, of course, deliver episodes to you all, just not right now, because I need to be in a good space to actually record it and deliver it to you all. And when I'm ready to do that, I'll do that. And it may be next episode, who knows? It may be broken up into more than one episode, though, to be honest, because I don't know if I'll be able to do everything in one, because it is a lot and there's so many moving pieces to it. But that is the reality right now. But I did want to talk about my daughter. And this literally came to me last night as I was sitting down and just, I've been recently having a lot of moments of gratitude, like real deep in my spirit, feel good moments of, girl, you did that. Like, girl, you made it. Like, girl, look how far we've come in this journey. And the thought came to me last night to record this episode. I had it planned to deliver maybe a little later, but I think it just feels right to do it now. And just like the title, that's literally how I feel, is that my daughter is my answered prayer. And like I previously mentioned, I've been really sitting in gratitude. And I know people tell you that and it sounds so cliche, but it really is. It really does something to your soul. It really does something to your outlook. It does something to you in a real way. And it's something that, honestly, I feel like you can't force it, but at the same time, you do need to force it. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Because if it's not something you're used to, if, it feels foreign to you, at first it feels weird to, okay, I'm going to sit in gratitude. And so you might have to be more disciplined about it in regards to like, okay, every day write down something that you're grateful for. And so in that way, it's kind of forced, because it's like, it's not what you would normally do. But when I say you can't force it, when it's ingrained in you now, when it's part of you, your thinking, your being, you sit in gratitude all the time, very randomly, always, you know what I mean? And so that's what I meant by what I just said. And I've been sitting in gratitude and and I said it to my friend that they swimming in it really a lot more, and I feels really good because, which is a part of one of the things that I'm grateful for, but it also is telling me that I'm getting back mentally and spiritually to who I was prior to postpartum, prior to pregnancy, prior to dealing with and engaging with certain people. And that made me feel really good. It's not something I have to force myself to do, because I had a level of disconnects, as I might have mentioned in my episodes when I was pregnant and such, to my spirituality, to me connecting with God. It was that so much was going on with me internally. And though I prayed and I stayed prayerful, I feel like it's different to when you actually feel connected, as opposed to, no, you're doing something because you're in need. Like you need the guidance, you need the support, you need God to intervene, versus you might still have need, but it's just not based solely on need. It's really just to be like, yo, I'm here to hear you, God. I'm here to receive whatever you have for me. I'm here to do whatever needs to be done. And that's what I've realized, that the space that I'm going back into. And I thrive so much so when I was in that space, and now it doesn't feel forced. It feels like a part of me. And I've been having a lot of moments of that, and it feels so good, and though everything in life isn't as I would want it, I'm also just moving by faith. Like, I just have this deep trust in knowing that it's gonna work out, every damn thing. And that right there, for a person who is like me, who is super anxious, let me rephrase that, because I'm not super anxious. I have moments of anxiety, I'm not gonna claim it, and I'm leaps and bounds from who I used to be and where I used to be, and postpartum has not helped. But I'm gonna change my mindset, and I experience moments of anxiety. It is not who I am, it is something that I experience. For a person like that, that's big. It's huge to not know what the future holds, but staying calm in that and resting in that, and that feels so good. And I'm truly, truly grateful for this place that I'm at now, that I used to be. And it makes me feel good too, to see a semblance of my old self. Physically, how I feel more like my old self. I don't physically, in the regard, look like my old self. I'm a lot thinner, which I'll talk about in another episode. But mentally and emotionally, I'm really getting back to that space. And it feels amazing. It really, really feels amazing. It feels like I can literally conquer anything at this point. And I love that for me. And I love that for my daughter, because she deserves to experience me at my best. At my, my healed self. You know what I mean? Granted, healing is a continuous journey. But I'm saying my healed self because at that time, which was prior to pregnancy and certain things, I felt super healed. I got through so many hurdles through therapy and self-work. And at that point, I felt healed, in so many areas. And I feel like now she's really obtaining that person. And that's who I've always wanted to be. That's why I made the decision to even have a child, because I wasn't going to do it unless I can get to that place. And I did. And so that made me feel ready. Okay, boom. I know I can pour into somebody and not cause damage to them. And that feels really, really great. That feels so good to know that I'm able to do that. But let me get back to why I feel my daughter is my answered prayer. So those of you who've been rocking me for and from the beginning, those who've been rocking with me for a long time and from the beginning, that I started this podcast because it was a journal for me, essentially a verbal journal that I'm sharing with the world after my grandma passed. And I had a lot of hopes and dreams that I was constantly striving for and working on. And one of them was start a family and, not just have a baby, but start a family essentially. And that was a big thing for me because over the years of me, getting older, I started out like, nah, I'm good. Like, I don't, marriage, I didn't think about it really, to be honest, I really didn't. But having kids was something that I was like, yeah, I want to do. No, I don't. Yeah, I want to do. And then I got to a place as I actually got older, like, like college years, 20 years. I was like, yeah, I think I'm good, because my nephews and them were born, they were birth control. And then also you get a firsthand day-to-day experience of what it takes to like really take care of kids. And it's like, yo, this is a lot. I'm good. I'm straight. But also that piece of the emotional piece of it. And it's like, wow, this is a lot. And so I kind of was like, no, thank you. Are you feeling overwhelmed by the demands of life? Motherhood? At AJO Consulting Services, LLC, we offer comprehensive wellness services that include personalized coaching, doula care, consulting, and personal and professional development to help you navigate this beautiful yet challenging phase of life. Our services are designed to support individuals and communities, especially women, birthing people, and families of color, in creating a more joyful and stress-free experience. From family planning to postpartum care, we provide the tools and resources you need to thrive. Let AJO Consulting Services help you prioritize your well-being and create a healthier, happier future for yourself and your family. And I got a little bit older and I started dating someone with a child and literally raising that child because they ended up living with me, and for a good while I was helping raise her. And that in itself was also like, it kind of swayed me like, oh, this actually feels nice to really be able to nurture and take care of somebody, but this shit is hard as hell. But it gave me a real perspective on what that looks like to really take care of a little human being. And it made me kind of go back and forth to the tether. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's like a nod. It was like, yeah, I can do this. Nah. I was like, yeah, you can do it. But I was like, nah, I can't do it in this way. And then the way that it was, which that relationship was very unhealthy. And so it really took the taste out of my mouth for all of it. And so I'm back on the facade of like, nah, I'm good. But thank God it didn't stay that way, because after that relationship, I did a lot of healing, which also the relationship ended after my grandma passed, like literally a few days after my grandma passed. And so that, of course, helped me heal a lot of parts of myself. Like I said, my grandma's death, as much as it saddened me and it was a loss in my life, it also added so much to me. It made me view myself and my life so much more, and that I was just not living to my potential. And so it just made me view things in just a more abundant way. And after I got serious about my healing. I got serious about dating. I got serious about just certain things and what I really truly wanted. And instead of like, being afraid to claim things, at least it started the journey of me being not afraid to claim things. And so that experience made me realize, one, you're good. Like, you truly are good at being a mother figure, mothering, but you need to have the boundaries. And also that experience made me really clarify what it is I wanted for real, right? What it is that I want my family to look like? How did I want to create that family? How did I want to develop it? And so it really started that. I mean, it planted this seed because it didn't really fine tune until, a few years later. But so over the years, I had these goals. I make vision boards. And so I had vision boards, and, I would have goals on there. to, do a multitude of things. And of course, you can do some things, but not all the things. And starting a family, finding my life partner, starting a family was always on there alongside, career goals, money goals, travel goals, and things like that. And for years, that goal would not happen, and it would get passed, to the next year. But of course, in hindsight, you're like, it all makes sense. It wasn't until, which of course now I understand, I was mentally and emotionally ready did these things occur. But let's say it was during the virus years, COVID years, that, because you had none but a lot of time to think, and restarting therapy and really sitting down and tackling really deep things that I, experienced. But they also allowed me to, with this particular therapist, just like claim what you want, right? Like say what you want, own that. And so then, my goals became more specific. And during this time period, I, of course, make another vision board and put the things on there. Purchase a home. And this particular year was 2022. Purchase a home and start a family, etc., etc. So for me, my vision boards are not just words and things; they're pictures. It's a lot of colors, a lot of pictures and sayings and things like that. And this particular vision board, I literally had a picture of, I said like my family. So it's like, I don't know this person, but it was a person. It's a real person, like a rapper or something like that. But he had just had a daughter, and so I'm like, oh, this is cute. And I had the picture of this individual and his daughter and just other things. But that always sticks out to me because those who know me know that I have a lot of nephews, right? And my family's full of a lot of boys. Well, this generation that's being born was a lot of boys. And in my mind, honestly, I'm like, I'm gonna have some boys because, yeah, like I rocks with them, I know how to deal with them. That's just been these past how many years. What, my oldest nephew's 20 19 turning 20. So it's been quite some time, and so it's like, oh yeah, in my head it's like, all right, yeah, this. And it's like, of course, the possibility of having a girl is always there, duh, right? And it's not up to me, but I just never really thought about it, to be 100% honest. So it was just like, in hindsight, thinking about that picture, it's like, you literally manifested a daughter, right? Like, to put that picture up, because I could have found other pictures. There's other pictures of babies that I could have put up, right? But, and how that the baby honestly looked very similar to my daughter when she came out. So it was kind of like, wow. In hindsight, looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, look at that. You literally manifested this. But I felt it was important to do this episode because, for one, sitting in that gratitude, it was a stark, and it is a stark contrast to, again, those who've listened to my previous episodes of how I felt prior to, right? Pregnancy was terrible for many reasons because of the physical aspects of the pregnancy, the fear I lived in being pregnant, and I felt like that kind of robbed me of truly enjoying the experience. But also, like, my body in pregnancy, my body didn't like it. It was a no for me, dog, And then what I was going through with, her father, I feel like it truly robbed me of the experience that I always thought that pregnancy would be for me. And honestly, I had a lot of moments of like, why'd I do this? I regret this. Why? Why did you do this? And a lot of talks with God in that way, like this is crazy, like how I wanted this thing and now I got it and this is how I'm getting it. So I wasn't one of those women that's like, oh, this is a blessing. Though I work, y'all know, y'all been through my fertility journey with me. So this is why having those thoughts was wild for me. It was like, ain't this some shit? You know what I'm saying? Like, I went so hard to get this thing, and all the conversations also in the relationship and such, all the stuff. And then this is how these things turn out. And so I felt robbed of the blessing, that feeling of it being a blessing. I felt robbed of that feel goodness of it all. Then postpartum was a fucking thing. And so when I was reflecting this past week, just really a regular day, I think I was cleaning up, per usual with the toddler, and just looking at my daughter. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get emotional, y'all, so get ready. Just looking at her, and she's just like squealing for something, like she's happy about something. She's like running around happy, and I'm just there, and I stop and just look at her, and I just get this feeling of like joy, of bliss, of like, this is how it was supposed to be. And I think that's what I was supposed to be feeling, you know, during pregnancy and postpartum for the most part. That this is truly a blessing. And I've had the thought of her being a blessing prior to this point. But it kind of re-cemented that feeling for me. It was a few months ago. No, it was about, I think it was around before she turned 1, between 6 and 12 months, I feel. Because I remember being in therapy and talking to something. I forget exactly what we're talking about, but this particular therapist, I see 2 therapists. So this particular therapist was like, you know, I wouldn't have said this to you prior because I knew how you were feeling and what you were going through. She's like, but I truly do believe now that you really do feel like this is a blessing. And of course, I had a whole emotional moment. But I'm like, yeah. She's like, because I know you didn't feel like that before. And I didn't. And so this feeling has been, you know, there before. But it was just re-cemented in that moment. Like, God, now I get it, you know? Like, there's so many questions of like, why did this happen like this? Like, what did I do to deserve this experience, you know? And being so stuck on the fact that things didn't work out how I thought they were going to work out, how I, in my heart and my soul, wanted it to work out, how honestly and truly, if you would have bet me my life savings, which is a pretty penny, that, you know, this is the position that I would be in, you know, how things would have worked out, I would be broke right now. It's $0 to my name. Like, that's how sure I was. And I didn't move like that prior to, I did not move like that. I was very pessimistic. But prior to, you know, meeting her father and doing, you know, just being in a relationship and having these experiences, like I said, I did all this work. And I was very open and willing, and just my heart and mind was open. And so I went in there, you know, full throttle, like, this is it, right? And again, prayerfully. So because of that, like, I was like, yo, I got bamboozled. Like, I got bamboozled. How could I have been so wrong? So I spent a lot of time, like, just trying to figure out what the fuck went wrong. And then when I did figure that out, like, blaming myself in a lot of ways. I'm like, girl, you knew better. Why did you? And that was my old me saying, like, you see, that's what happened when you over here thinking good things can happen. You know what I'm saying? And like, oh, you thinking that you can trust people fully and love people fully without having your guard up. And because that's what I used to do. But when I got over that feeling and those thoughts of like, nah, fuck that. I'm not gonna let somebody who ain't know how to love me make me not want love or get the love that I deserve. And I'm also not going to let somebody who's not willing to grow up and do what they need to do stop me from having the experience of motherhood that I wanted and I worked hard for, because I did the mental work. I went to school, did all that, got myself financially stable, XYZ. But the one thing that I wanted to make sure that I did prior to having a kid was make sure I was mentally and emotionally ready for that child, so I did not scar them and cause them harm. And I did that work. I did that real deep-seated, dark work, gut-wrenching work prior to. And I'm like, nah, my daughter deserves the best version of me. My daughter deserves so much more. And that really is what led me to making a decision to become a single mom. Because though it was something I fought so hard to not become all these years, becoming in my late 30s, and certain decisions that I made throughout my life, it still happened. But it was a decision I made, and it made me angry at first that I had to make that decision, but I don't have no regrets. And in that moment, I had all those thoughts. Look at my daughter laughing and being so happy. And me sitting there having this euphoric feeling now. It's like, oh God, I get it now. I understand. I get it. All the decisions, they were for the greater good of not only myself, but for my child. Because at the end of the day, I want my child to get everything, of course. I feel like most parents hopefully want your child to have everything that you didn't have. But for me, more specifically, it's not just about material things and having a house and this. I wanted her to be in a 2-parent household. That was, of course, I feel on the surface. But then the deeper things, which was to me more important and why I made the decision that I made, was my daughter needs to see healthy dynamics. She needs to see a healthy mom. She needs to be in a space where she can be herself 1000%. She needs to be seen and she needs to be heard. And she won't be seen and heard if her mother is in survival mode. She won't be seen and heard if her mother isn't thriving. She won't be seen and heard if her mother or her parents are constantly at each other's necks. She won't be seen and heard and get that attention and love she needs if all attention and love is just going to her father, her biological father, someone who it just is a child themselves, because their inner child is still running their life, and that's not fair to her. That's not fair to her. That attention and love and all that needs to go to her. It's not my responsibility to help anyone's inner child grow. That's someone else's responsibility, and you need to take that time to do it. And that's why I made the decision that I made. And though it was damn, I wish I didn't have to do that, and it wasn't done out of anger, it truly was done out of love and respect, though, you may not feel that way. But the reality of the situation, it was. Because if I would have wrote that out, I would have got to a point where I truly hate this person. And I don't want to have to go to that place. But more importantly, it was done because I need to preserve myself for my child. She's a child. She still has life to live. She needs to be poured into. You're a grown individual. It is your responsibility to give yourself the things that you need. It is not my responsibility. And I was so focused very early on in this dynamic, in my journey, a postpartum journey with, of course, dealing with myself and what I was going through, but dealing with other people's stuff. And I'm like, this ain't what I want for my baby. This ain't what I want for myself. This is not what I pictured. And I think a lot of mothers and birthing people sometimes are in these relationships, married or not, because I've seen the gamut, and they stay holding on, trying to help the other person do their stuff, and then now you can't even show up in the way you wanted to for your kid. Absolutely not. No. No. And so I made an extremely difficult decision. And for, like I said, quite a few months, I didn't feel the blessing. I felt the strain. I felt the stress. But to be able to sit in that moment and just feel blessed immensely. And I've had a lot of, like I said, a few moments since I've had that original thought of, oh, this is the blessing. Because God has shown me in so many ways. Once you choose yourself, when you really understand what the assignment was, honestly, in this experience, though it was like, I could have read this in the fortune cookie. I could have read a book about this. I get now that I had to experience this to get to who I am currently today and who I'm supposed to be. And I needed to go through that stuff with our father, unfortunately. I needed to, and this is another thought that came to me, I needed to, while in this relationship, experience the things that I did, but also have that open heart and open mind, and that we can work through anything mindset that I didn't possess before, because if I didn't, she would not be here, right? And this is a thought that came to me more recently. She had to be here. She needed to be here. I see her purpose. I see why she is here with me. Before I was like, I could have did without this. Like, I didn't need this. I want to go back to my life, whatever the case is. And parts of me sometimes still feel that way, being fully transparent. But it's so much less now than what it used to be. And every day, I see more and more. Okay, I get it now. Yeah, it was this time, right now, she in this stage that she needed to be here. And also that I needed to experience motherhood in this time period. I need to experience, unfortunately, almost losing my life, almost losing my baby. I needed to experience being treated a particular way from, your workplace. I needed to be pregnant around a certain time, to be around other women who are pregnant around the same time with me in my circle, to hear their experiences, to reignite and revive my passion, my true passions, which was reproductive health, women's health, maternal health. I needed that to all happen so that I can really reach my purpose. Because again, prior to, I thought I knew my purpose, but I wasn't feeling it, if that makes sense. Like, logically, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm here to do this, da 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 da. But then there was like a disconnect with the feeling of like, oh yeah, this is what it's supposed to feel like when you really truly love something. And I had it when I was way younger. And then of course, you get older and you start working just to make money. And then it's this and it's that. But then now, money doesn't influence me anymore. It's like, nah, that drive, that feeling, that's it. And I had to come to the realization that I needed all this. It's one thing to have an idea. It's one thing for something to be a thought, but it's a whole nother thing when you experience it and Are you seeking guidance and support in life on your motherhood journey? AJO Consulting Services, LLC offers tailored strategies to help you overcome challenges, build resilience, and achieve your goals. Empower yourself with personalized coaching. You've lived it, right? You reach people in a different way. You connect with people in a different way. And the type of work that I'm doing and how I needed to connect with people for real, I see the difference. How I connect with people prior to doing my reproductive health, and now it's different. It's just so different. And unfortunately, but also fortunately, my lived experience, so many other women and birthing people have experienced. And so that's a thread that really connects us. And just sitting in that gratitude and in that blessing, because if she didn't come, I don't know if or when I would have had that realization, right? I don't know if I would have seen my purpose in that way. But aside from that, just her life, I literally look at her. Ooh, I'm gonna cry again. I literally look at her on a daily, just looking at her, not only because she is a beautiful little girl, but just looking at her for real, like looking at her eyes, just looking at her, who she is and how she talks and just does stuff. And it's like, not only you're beautiful, but oh my God, like you're a whole person that was formed inside my body. Something that I didn't think I could do, right? Even though I was told that I could, I didn't think I could do. You are literally here. There were nights I cried because I got a negative pregnancy test. There were moments where, prior to even really consciously wanting to be pregnant, if that makes sense, I had moments of like, what if I can't do this? And what if my body's not built to do this? Or what if I never get this thing? And there was so much doubt. There was so much fear. There was so much tears. But God heard me. God is faithful, And sometimes we get lost in the sauce of the other shit. And I did for a good while get lost in the sauce of the other shit. And thank God I put up boundaries and I removed myself from certain situations. And I'm gonna also do another episode about this, but just feeling like I'm making people trying to force me to like forgive or to heal faster than I was ready to do. And that was a huge disservice to myself. But I really want to dive deep into that in a later point. But that in itself, that slowed down my process. Not having boundaries the way I needed to, not giving myself the time to fully feel my feelings, to fully go through the process of what I need to do to myself to heal. That just robbed me of really truly seeing the blessing that she's been. Is it easy? Nah. But to be honest, it's way easier doing it with boundaries up. It's way easier doing it where you have the space and ability to heal, and you are able to fully just experience things on your terms. And that's something that I truly, truly needed. And it's allowed me to get to this place to be like, wow, yeah, there's difficulty in it. There is. But the truth is, there's a lot of beauty in it too. Even in the hard times, there's a lesson to be learned. Like even when we have hard days, because my baby is very strong-willed. And I can't say nothing because she get it from her mama. But that's a growth that I take it, at least for me. I take it as a growth moment, right? Like, okay, today was a tough day, but she's gonna be a kid. What is it that I could have done better? And next day, show up better. You know what I mean? And that in itself is just beautiful, because mentally and emotionally, if I didn't do the work needed to have before I had her, I couldn't show up for her in this way. But the fact of she is here and she is helping me continue to grow, and that is beautiful, right? You truly don't know how much you've healed and grown until you put back into a situation and you're forced to show, right? To see, okay, let's see how far you've gone. And I really truly understand now why God did what he did. And the struggle can also be very beautiful. I'm just happy now I've gotten to that place where I can see the beauty in it. Of course, there's down times. You can't control what other people do, but you can control how you respond to other people. And I'm choosing me. And not in a selfish, petty way, but I'm choosing my wellness, because without my wellness, my daughter won't be well. And because I'm choosing her, I have to choose me. And those who get it, get it. And I can truly see the blessing in motherhood. And even more so truly see the blessing of having a daughter. Because like I said, you couldn't tell me I was going to have a boy. But I see why God gave me a daughter. I really do. There's a level of connection in shared experience, though I know she's a baby now, but it's just different. Like knowing, she's a woman, or she'll become a woman, and you're able to infuse in parts and things that you wish somebody put into you, and just allowing her to just be authentically herself and just be committed to that. Like, I'm not letting anyone shut down how big of a personality she is, how sassy she is, right? How she is very back up with me. And yes, that will be respected. Just so many parts of her that I feel like we might start out that way and people just shut it down and break you down. And it takes you years and years and years to finally get back to trying to be that person. And I know that's going to also mean that I'm going to experience these things from her as she gets older. But that is why the work continues. I will continue my healing. I will continue therapy so that as she grows and she continues to assert herself, I will also keep healing. I will also keep addressing the parts of me that needs to be addressed so I can show up for her the way she needs me to show up for her, not how I want to show up for her. And that's something I continuously tell myself and continuously pray that God allows me to continue to show up for her how she needs me and not just how I want, because she is her own entity. She is her own self. I birthed her. I created her in my body, but she is not me. She is her own person. And I pray that just as much as she is and has been a blessing on my life, that I pray that she can look back when she gets older and see how much of a blessing that I've been to her too. I truly, truly hope that. And all this finally makes sense, and that's such a good feeling. It's such a good feeling to feel, to truly, truly feel that. It's amazing. So what I'll leave you all with is maybe a couple of things. Just because things don't happen on your time doesn't mean that it won't happen. That's one. Second thing being, don't expect it to happen the way that you think it's gonna happen. Because maybe things can happen very, very differently than what you thought and what you expected. But try your hardest to see the blessing. Try your hardest to understand the blessing in everything that's happened. Because it's there. Because it is. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of the Oasis podcast. I hope you were able to find something that resonated with you on your journey. Don't forget to subscribe anywhere you listen to podcasts and YouTube. Rate us and leave us a review and comment on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, and YouTube. Share your favorite episode and like us on Instagram and Facebook. If you have any questions, comments, want to be a guest, or any show ideas, contact us at ajaysoasis@gmail.com. That's AAYJAYSOASIS@gmail.com, or direct message us on Instagram and Facebook.